I'm Dr. Aisha Williams, entrepreneur and educator. And today in this segment, I briefly wanted to talk about entrepreneurship in general and whether or not it will be the right fit for you. There are tons of articles online about how lonely the life of an entrepreneur is, and I wanted to talk to you about that, especially in light of having just completed my doctorate last year in 2020, and that being this lonely process that I've gotten used to, and having been an entrepreneur before while working, and so on and so forth. If you are someone who is always in need of being out and about and stimulated by others and outside activities, um, entrepreneurship might be something you want to think long and hard about. I'm not going to say it's not for you, but you may want to have a partner who will help you, who will be able to help you to take on some of the burdens of entrepreneurship, which include doing pretty much every single thing related to your business on your own. So if you're a part of a team, that's great. I often tell people that they're married, that's the best time to sort of think about entrepreneurship. Maybe there's something that you and your spouse, or you and your significant other, you and your partner, if you're not married, what have you, can do together so that it's not this isolating sort of thing. Um, when it comes to entrepreneurship, you spend many hours on your own solving problems that people who are operating outside of what you're doing won't necessarily be able to help you with, especially at the beginning stages. I can't tell you how often, and I'm a natural introvert. I used to be very shy. I used to be a very shy introvert, but after years of teaching college students, I became less shy. Sometimes I'm still a bit shy in certain situations and circumstances, but I'm much better than I was as a young person. However, I'm someone who really thrives on being alone, and I notice that it's easier for me to solve problems, to be creative while I'm by myself. So I don't mind the life of entrepreneurship. Like I said, I've done it before. But there are long hours that you're going to put in that other people won't understand. There are going to be times when your friends ask you to hang out for dinner, and you're literally going to have to wait because you going out to dinner with them could cost you money. There are going to be times when you're going to be thinking about vacations, and even if you're someone who, for example, folks know that I sell on Amazon in addition to having my other sites, but I don't use Amazon FBA, and we'll talk about why in another segment. I'm a merchant who fulfills orders on my own because I feel like that's more reliable. And while Amazon will pay you for sorry, that was my little dog walking back and forth. But while Amazon will pay you for items they might lose when you mail them to FBA, you really want to make sure that you establish a great rapport with your customers and have a lot of inventory in stock that you can supply to them at the start of your business, okay? And we're going to talk about that stuff a lot. We're going to talk about so much on this channel. We're going to have a good time doing it, okay? But yeah, when it comes to this idea of the difference between entrepreneurship and the 9 to 5, there's a huge difference, okay? I'm someone who has had those 9 to 5 jobs. They were what they were. They were great ways of having a steady source of income that I could depend on, that was a certain amount of money, so I could plan and plot out my budgets accordingly, right? You know exactly how much money you're getting paid every 2 weeks, for example, right? But I'm not someone who likes doing the same thing over and over again. And with a lot of these education administration jobs, they were positions where eventually you started feeling as though you were pushed into a corner and had to do the same thing over and over again. And it's not just education administration jobs. Many people feel like that in their jobs, right? They find that after a while, after you've been in that position for a few years, right, that things become a bit rote, right? It gets a bit monotonous. And I love excitement. I don't like to be bored. When I get too bored, you start to see it. I start to gain weight. I start eating. I start overeating. And I'm someone who jogs and stuff like that. Now that I'm a woman of a certain age, I log in less mileage, but I still jog. I have a little treadmill even because of the CV. So I have a treadmill in my apartment. But you want to think in terms of, are you someone who's comfortable with not having that guaranteed amount of money being deposited into your account, or being given to you by check, however you do it, but being deposited into your account was my situation. Most people do that these days, every 2 weeks, or however often you get paid. Some people even get paid every week. Or are you someone who is okay with understanding that when you're an entrepreneur, sometimes you're going to have boom times, windfalls, and sometimes you're going to have what I refer to as doom times, where you're home with your dog, staring at him and going, all right, buddy, I'm going to make sure you eat before I eat, type of situation and ordeal. So that's what entrepreneurship is like. There are so many highs and lows that if you're someone who's easily overwhelmed by highs and lows, like deep lows and super duper highs, then it might not be the type of entrepreneurship simply might just not be for you. And again, this is not about like intellect or anything like that. There are people who are amazing entrepreneurs at all levels, right? Whether or not they graduated from high school or have a gazillion degrees or 1 degree, it's almost like, not almost, I think it's a mind state, right? I know tons of people who are in education who are entrepreneurs, and good ones on the side. Like, they're doing really well. Some of them I'm like, wow, this is awesome, because if that education job doesn't work out, you're going to be okay, right? But they tend to not talk too much about it to others, because entrepreneurship is such an isolating, lonely sort of thing, right? Sort of situation, right? It's hard to tell other people how much work that you leave work and then you go home and do all this other work, right? So what I mean by that is, you're going to be up late at night sometimes trying to reconcile orders, okay? And field complaints, right? From your customers, or just, customers will want you to customize something for them. I make body butters, and so I have customers who are regular customers who I make customized body butters for them, which can take me over a day to make. Right? You're the entrepreneur, you have to deal with maybe taking all the photos by yourself, right? For Amazon or for your website of your products, so that you can list them for sale and that they look really pretty, right? So that when people come to your site and take a look at your products, they're like, ding, that's what I want. Right? Then you have to make sure that you're monitoring how much you're spending on advertising, especially if you're on Amazon. There are people who are on Amazon who are making no money because all their money is going to advertising. And we're going to talk about that in another segment, because that happened to me initially. I was selling like crazy. Things were flying off the shelves. I had to call my broker out in Ghana and say, I need more right away. I need more right away. But I wasn't, and she's asking me like, are you okay? Are you making any money? I was like, no. But I have to keep the customers happy. I can't just disappear now, because sales are picking up and they like what they're getting, right? So these are things which you'll be up all night thinking about these issues and problems, and you'll have friends who, even if you tell them what's going on, they'll try to say, oh, let me help you. How can I help you? But you'll find that if they weren't entrepreneurs themselves, they might not have the knowledge that could help you, right? They might not have the skills that could help you, even though they mean well, right? So you might find yourself just doing a lot of things on your own. So it's something that you have to think about. It's a very isolating thing, and the hours are long. It's not a 9 to 5. It's not a 10 to 6. It's not even, some people say, oh, but I always put in more time at work. It's not like that. There are going to be many nights that you're up late, especially because I import goods from Ghana, and I use services, interestingly enough, application software apps from Ghanaian guys that help me in my website. So that's something a lot of people don't know. I wanted to try them out before I recommended them, but they're awesome. And so I use like a Ghanaian service, and so the hours are such that it's easier for me to stay up late to talk to them if I have questions, comments, concerns, or shoot them texts and stuff, communicate with them, you know, than it is during our regular American day, right? On the East Coast. So these are the things that you want to think about. Are you someone who, and also I got to tell you, I'm intense, right? I'm someone who's intense. I'm intense with the exercise. I work out a lot. People know it. I'm intense with watching what I eat. It's like, I'm intense with, my father's girlfriend once called me a perfectionist. And I told her, I said, I don't see myself as a perfectionist. I fail all the time. Look, I failed at this. I failed at this. I failed at this. And she was like, you do too much. You do, so even me, like, I'm someone who does a lot. If you're someone who has that energy, and I'm a woman of a certain age, so if you're someone who has that energy, then yes, go for it. Entrepreneurship might be for you. But if you're someone who doesn't necessarily have that energy, that if you're that person who has to be in bed at 11 o'clock sharp, entrepreneurship might not be for you unless you have a partner who can stay up later than you to help you out. Then that could work, okay? Because some nights you're really just going to be up late. Some nights you're not going to sleep. And I got used to that working on the dissertation for the doctorate, right? So, you get used to it. And another thing, there's some people who they've always talked about wanting to have a business, like for years, right? For years. And I always because I'm sitting back and I'm always wondering why they don't start. Because remember what I just told you, I know I've worked with so many people who have these side businesses. They leave work, they leave their 9 to 5, they leave their 10 to 6, and they go home and they work hard on their other business, their side hustles. And these are businesses. Sometimes they're incorporated too. Sometimes they're LLCs, right? And they're working really hard at these businesses. So I sit and watch others who tell me, oh yeah, I always wanted to start this business, and oh yeah, I did get my paperwork in order. I filed an LLC years ago, and if they didn't file an LLC, maybe they're a sole proprietorship, and they did get that EIN number. And when you have your LLC, remember, you get an EIN number too. But with the sole proprietorship, you get an EIN, right? At least here, and when I was out in California, because I did a sole proprietorship and got an EIN. So I know those two states, California and New York. It's always different, or I should say it's usually different in other states. But you want to think about what it is that's holding you back. Again, in a previous episode or segment, I stated that you have to be someone who just does it. You have to take action when you're an entrepreneur. If you're someone who takes a long time to make decisions, who is too worried about the outcomes of your decisions, then entrepreneurship really might not be the right thing for you, because it's stressful. I'm not saying it's because to be negative. I'm saying because it's a stressful thing. And if you're someone who gets easily stressed out, it's not for you. Just stick to your 9 to 5. Stay in that life, stay in that lane. Because again, you have to think about why it is that you had this idea for a business 10 years ago and didn't take action, even to just start it as a side hustle. Because you can always think big, folks. In my head, I was thinking big, and even at the start, people had to slow me down and say, take it easy with the spending, right? And we're going to talk about that. But I take action. So I was just like, I got to take action. I got to get this moving, right? If you don't have that attitude of I got to get this moving, I got to take action, it might not be for you. If you're scared to lose money, entrepreneurship is not for you. I've lost thousands, right? If you're scared to lose money, it takes money to make money. All right? Like that's what it's about. It takes money to make money. If you're too afraid, if you're too terrified to lose money, this is not for you. Just stick to your 9 to 5. Keep your money in savings account, your 401k, even though I think that's risky as hell right now. I think that's crazy. I think your 401k is riskier than me and my entrepreneurship endeavors. But if that's how you feel, I get it. I salute you. There's nothing wrong with it. But again, these are all the things that you want to think about. Think about the reasons why you didn't just take action. Because I'll tell you, there's no straight lane. There's no straight line. Things are always gonna work out differently from the way you initially planned. But you just have to pick the name of the business, file, right? File, get that LLC. Hurry up. Pick a product to sell. Just pick one and just see how it goes. All right? And then that's it. That's how you'll know for sure. If you can't do those two things, how about this? Don't even spend all the money on the LLC first off, right? How about this? Pick a product, sell it. Just one product. Pick a product, buy a bunch of it. I'll start talking about where we can go about buying products and stuff like that. Remember, my focus is on Ghana. And we'll talk about that. But we'll talk about where you can buy products. Pick one product that you want to sell. You know, it could be anything. It could be something like this, made with beautiful, beautiful wax cotton fabric, like the fabric that I sell, naturalshanetextiles.com. This is a beautiful blazer by. Oh my God! I'm gonna put the name of the company in the description box, and I'm gonna make sure that I add her picture to this video because she makes beautiful things. But pick something and sell it. If people like it, you might be onto something, right? You can't be too fearful. If you're someone who's very fearful and you're afraid of failure, and if you're afraid of what other people think about you, entrepreneurship's not for you. It's just not for you. So stick to that 9 to 5. No shade. I'm not throwing any shade. I'm just telling you, don't get yourself involved in entrepreneurship if you have those characteristics or traits. All right. Now this has gone on long enough. Take care. Peace. naturalshanetextiles.com. Check out the description box below. I'll let you know who sells this in Accra. You actually might even be able to have someone make something like this for you here if you buy my cloth. Peace.